Hello folks, in this video I've summarized a few key points from William Strunk's book Elements of Style. I found them useful for me in my day-to-day writing, so I hope to share a few tips and tricks that I learned from reading and applying this book. These tips will prove useful to you as you go about writing your scholarship application essays and personal statements to your prospective universities. Of course, this is not the complete guide to effective writing that will solve all your writing problems after you finish watching the video. No. Good, effective writing takes practice, and it takes creativity. That's why it's not just a skill, it's an art. So first of all, I've set some learning objectives that you can keep in mind as you watch the video. By the end of it, I hope you get some strategies to make your writing readable, smooth, and clear in purpose and message. The video is separated into 6 parts. Principles of Composition talks about some common sense tips that you can use to make your writing more concise and aesthetically pleasing. Elementary Rules of Usage explore some rules that writers often forget or miss when writing essays. In Form, we talk about some of the ways we can take our writing structure to another level, while Style Recommendations is just that. It gives some advice to make your writing stand out. Special Advice warns of some common pitfalls we might make when we try to impress, while Key Takeaways summates the maxims that we pick up along the way in each part. To start at the beginning, in this first part, we have some tips and tricks that you should keep in mind while writing an essay. First of all, before anything else, we need to have a blueprint. An essay, in essence, is a construction of words. Where you go with it, what you aim to do with it, and the impression you make with it really depends on how you initially design and structure it. So to make our essays well organized and balanced, we have to come up with a plan of what we are going to say and where we are going to say it. That is the fundamental basis of any essay. Without a design plan, no essay is going to be an easy one to write. Second, where possible, use the active voice. What happens when writers choose to write in passive voice is that they can come off as objective or even apathetic. That's all good if you're trying to write scientific discourse, but in scholarship application essays, where you need to show that you are a living human being with dreams, struggles, and achievements, using the active voice to really push forward your impact can help you leave a stronger and lasting impression on the reader. Third, choose to write in the positive form. For example, imagine if Martin Luther King decided to start a speech with, "I think I have a dream," instead of his affirmative, confident, and memorable quote, "I have a dream." I doubt that anyone would have remembered the speech. Martin Luther King's strength as an orator stems from the fact that he knew the power of using the positive form, and so should you. Okay, so now that you've written your essay and feel good about it, something's just not right. There's too many words. It's over the word limit. Well, my friend, in that case, you will have to go back and do a patient review. Be it for the sake of a sentence, within a paragraph, or the essay as a whole, track down and omit those redundant words that are not necessary for you to relay your key messages. That way, what you really want to say and the words that really matter have more space to shine through. Now that you've taken care of all those extra words, it's time to look again and check your sentence patterns. Are back-to-back sentences all starting and ending in the same way? When you read it out loud, does it sound like you're a monotonous robot trying to mimic human speech? Well then, it seems that you have a succession of sentences that are too similar. To amend this, think like a dancer. As much as repetition can help to cement an idea, a feeling, or an emotion, it can also get boring. So to keep it interesting, you need variation, different flow, and overall different sentence styles. Okay, so after that, you might also want to check your grammar. Within each sentence, make sure that all those tenses are consistent. So to summarize part 1 in one sentence, we can say that it's important to make every word count when you write our essay. Each word should have a purpose within a sentence, each sentence a meaningful place within a paragraph, and each paragraph should fit into the overall message or points you want to make in your essay. Now on to part 2, Elementary Rules of Usage. In the art of writing, some rules are so fundamental yet often forgotten. These rules can make or break your essay, and if unfollowed, may leave your reader wondering if you cared to double check your writing at all. So to be on the safe side, let's go over some of the essential rules of usage to ensure that your writing is as tidy and smooth as possible. Here we begin with possessive apostrophes. Now, in the age of AI and autocorrect, it's easy to not look twice when it comes to possessive apostrophes. Your word processing software will easily fix any mistakes or omissions you make. But a good writer never forgets how and when to use these small yet integral parts of good writing. So give your grammar checker a break and make sure that you are using apostrophes correctly when they are needed. Second comes the need to be aware of standard punctuation rules. There are many punctuation rules, and this video would last for hours if we went through all of them. So here, let's just look at some common points. First of all, you need to know which standard you should be following. If you're applying to a school in the UK or EU, chances are that they'll be using British English. Or if you're applying to the US, American English rules will be the norm. Although scholarships are not as strict when it comes to which you can use, it's good to maintain consistency in one or the other so your essay doesn't have an identity crisis. So for example, when it comes to American English, you'll be using periods and commas within quotation marks to indicate speech, while in British English, commas and periods will come after the quotation marks. Knowing not just the punctuation rules, but also vocabularies that are distinct to British or American English will not just help you in your essays, it will save a lot of confusion when you finally get in and live in these different places too. Another grammatical tip that I highly recommend to follow is the maintenance of singular-plural agreements within a sentence. In short, if the subject is singular, then its corresponding verb must be in singular form too. If the subject is plural, then the verb should also be plural. Here, you can pause the video for a while if you want to go through each example on the slide. Alright, this is the last grammar tip. That is, to use the colon. When you want to lay out your achievements or list out the things that make up a certain subject, use the colon. Now, as you can see in the first example, both the correct and incorrect sentences actually seem to be correct. But there's a nuance here. When you want to use a colon to list out items, the first part of the sentence must be a sentence in and of itself. This means that the colon functions as a connector between two sentences, where the second one is following up on the first. The second case scenario for a colon is when you want to further elaborate on an idea or a sentence. So similarly, the second sentence serves to further describe the content or message of the first. The incorrect example is incorrect because in this case, the second sentence does little to explain the first and might as well be just one sentence. So use a colon when you want to indicate that the second sentence elaborates the first sentence in more detail and length. So, to tie up the key message in this part, we can say that to make our essays clear and concise, we must ensure proper punctuation. This leads us to form. Form in writing is like a conductor leading a symphony. Just as a conductor brings together different instruments to create beautiful music, form organizes sentences, paragraphs, and ideas to make writing clear and effective. Without form, writing can feel messy and confusing, like a symphony without a leader. But with good form, everything works together smoothly, creating writing that is balanced, clear, and easy to follow. So this part will show how form helps shape your writing and makes your message strong and memorable. Let's talk about how to keep your writing clear and easy to follow by maintaining consistency in tense and perspective. First, let's look at tense consistency. That's about making sure the time frame of your actions stays the same. Here's an example of what can go wrong. Can you spot the problem? The first part of the sentence is in the past tense, I organized, but then it suddenly switches to present tense with it inspires. This mix of time frames is confusing. Is the event in the past or is it still happening? To fix it, we need to stick to one tense. Here's the correct version. Now both parts of the sentence are in the past tense, so it flows naturally. Next, let's talk about perspective consistency. This is about sticking to the same point of view, whether it's first person, second person, or third person. Here's an example of how an inconsistent perspective. can ruin the sentence. Do you see the shift? The first sentence is in first person, I believe, and my goals, but the second sentence switches to third person with one must. This change feels disconnected and awkward. To fix it, we can keep everything in the first person, like this. Now, both sentences are connected and personal, making the message much stronger. The takeaway here is simple. Keep your tense and perspective consistent throughout your writing. It makes your ideas clear, your message strong, and your writing much easier to follow. Now, let's talk about the importance of using definite, concrete, and specific language in your writing. Why is this so important? Well, vague language can leave your reader guessing. It doesn't give them a clear picture of what you're trying to say. Let me show you an example. Here the writer says, I volunteered to help people. That's nice, but it's vague. What kind of volunteering? Who did you help? How much time did you spend? Without details, the statement doesn't stand out or make much of an impact. Now, here's how you can make it more specific and powerful. I volunteered 100 hours at the local food bank, organized food drives, and gave meals to families. See the difference? By adding concrete details, like the number of hours, the specific actions you took, and the peoples you helped, you paint a clear and vivid picture. Now the reader understands exactly what you did and why it matters. So the lesson here is simple. Avoid vague statements. Use specific examples and details to make your writing more vivid and meaningful. When your language is concrete, your message becomes stronger and much more memorable. Let's now talk about the importance of ensuring logical flow and coherence in your writing. When your ideas are presented in a clear and logical order, they're easier to follow and your message becomes much stronger. On the other hand, when the flow of ideas is confusing, it can leave your readers scratching their heads. Let's look at an example. I worked hard on my research project, which led to winning first place in the science fair because I am passionate about learning. This sentence feels a bit jumbled, doesn't it? The ideas are there, but the order is confusing. The cause and effect relationships aren't clear. Why did you work hard? What's the connection between your passion for learning and your achievement? Now here's a clearer version. I am passionate about learning, which led me to work hard on my research project and ultimately win first place in the science fair. In this version, the ideas are arranged in a logical sequence. It starts with your passion, explains how that inspired your hard work, and ends with the result, winning first place. This flow makes sense and the connections are easy to follow. The key takeaway is this: arrange your ideas in a way that shows clear relationships between them. Think about cause and effect, or how one idea leads to the next. Logical flow and coherence make your writing not just clear, but also more persuasive and impactful. To wrap up part 3, remember that structure is the backbone of clear and impactful writing. Organizing your ideas logically, using focused paragraphs, and guiding your reader with signposts makes your writing easier to follow. But don't stop at clarity. Aim to make your writing memorable by balancing precision with strong, vivid examples. When you structure writing well, you ensure your ideas are not just understood, but also felt. Keep your message clear, concise, and powerful. This is the key to writing that leaves a lasting impact. We've arrived at part 4, Style Recommendations. In this section, we'll cover practical tips that can help your writing stand out without going overboard. Style is about finding the right balance, writing in a way that's clear, engaging, and true to your voice. It's not about using fancy words or complicated sentences, but about making your writing more effective and memorable. We'll go over simple strategies for refining your tone, avoiding unnecessary fluff, and making sure your writing connects with your reader. By the end, you'll have some clear techniques to improve your style without overcomplicating things. Now, let's talk about writing naturally but precisely. It's about being clear without overcomplicating things. You want your writing to feel conversational, But at the same time, you need to be specific so a reader understands exactly what you mean. Here's an example of writing that's natural but unclear. I'm passionate about education and love helping students learn. This sounds good, right? It's natural, but it's not precise. What exactly about education are you passionate about? How do you help students? The reader doesn't know the details, and without them, the statement is too vague. Now, here's a natural and precise version. I tutored middle school students in math to help them improve their grades and build confidence in their abilities. This is conversational, but it adds specific details. Now the reader knows exactly what you did, tutored students in math, and how it helped them improve their grades and build confidence. By adding specifics, the message becomes clearer and more impactful. So the takeaway here is write in a way that feels natural, but don't forget to add the specifics that make your point clear. You want your reader to know not just what you did, but how and why it mattered. Next up, let's talk about the importance of revising and rewriting. When you first write something, it's like putting together a rough draft, a sketch of your ideas. But to really make your writing shine, revision is key. Let me explain why it matters. First of all, for clarity. When you revise, you have the chance to make your ideas clearer. Sometimes our first draft is a bit messy or unclear, but with a few tweaks, you can make your message much easier to follow. Secondly, it's for focus. Revising also helps you to stay on track. As you rewrite, you can cut out parts that don't support your main point. Keeping your essay focused and making sure everything you say serves a purpose. And also, impact. Finally, revision helps you make your writing more interesting. It's your opportunity to find the words and examples that will make your ideas stand out and leave a lasting impression on your reader. So remember, revision isn't just about fixing mistakes. It's about improving your writing in ways that make it clearer, more focused, and more impactful. Sometimes we think using fancy words makes our writing sound more impressive, but it can actually have the opposite effect. Overcomplicating things can make your writing harder to understand. Here's an example of using fancy words. I am extremely enthusiastic about the prospect of contributing to the advancement of medical research. While it sounds formal, it's unnecessarily wordy, and the message gets lost in all those extra words. Now here's a simpler version. I am excited about the chance to contribute to medical research. This is much clearer and easier to follow. Simple language doesn't weaken your writing, it makes it stronger and more direct. So remember, using simple, straightforward words will always make your writing more powerful and easier for a reader to connect with. Clarity is good writing. When your ideas are clear, your readers can understand exactly what you mean, which makes your message more effective. Here's why clarity matters. First of all, clear writing helps your reader grasp your ideas easily. If your writing isn't clear, it leaves room for confusion, and your reader might miss your main point. Also, the clearer your writing is, the more direct and impactful your message will be. It ensures that your message doesn't get lost or misunderstood. Let's look at an example. Here's an unclear sentence. My experiences have shown me the value of success in many ways. It sounds vague and doesn't tell the reader exactly what those experiences were or what success really means to you. Now here's a clear version. My experience as a volunteer teacher has shown me that success comes from helping others achieve their goals. This version gives the reader specific information, the experience, the lesson learned, and the idea of success. It's much more direct and meaningful. So, always aim to write clearly. The more specific and focused your writing is, the easier it will be for your reader to understand and connect with your message. When you're writing, it's important to avoid overwriting or overstating. If you use too many words or exaggerate too much, you risk losing your focus and credibility. Here's why balance matters. First of all, when you write with balance, you keep your message focused and professional. Over explaining or using excessive adjectives can make your writing sound cluttered and less effective. Also, overstating things can make you sound insincere or unrealistic. Readers will be more likely to connect with writing that's honest and measured, rather than writing that feels exaggerated or too dramatic. Here's an example of an overstated sentence. Winning the school science fair was the single most life-changing moment that made me who I am today. This is a bit over the top. It sounds exaggerated, and it might make the reader doubt the significance of that moment because it's been overstated. Now here's a more balanced version. Winning the school science fair taught me the value of hard work and strengthened my passion for innovation. This version is grounded and realistic. It communicates the lesson you learned without overstating its importance. So remember, avoid the temptation to overstate. Keep your writing focused and make sure your statements are true to your experience. So the maxim for this section would be to write with purpose and grace. This means expressing yourself clearly and thoughtfully, while making your words leave a lasting impression without overcomplicating things. Congrats, you made it to part 5. In this final part, we'll briefly go over some special advice provided by William to further polish and perfect your essays. Figures of speech, like metaphors or similes, can add color and creativity to your writing, but they should be used sparingly. If you use too many, they can make your message harder to understand and distract from your main point. Here's why it's important to be careful with figures of speech. Clarity. If you overuse them, your writing can be too flowery or complex, making it difficult for your reader to follow what you're actually saying. You don't want your message lost in all extra imagery. Focus. Using too many figures of speech can make your key points get overshadowed by the flowery language. You want to make sure your main message is clear and front and center. Let's look at an overused example. My mind was a stormy sea as I navigated the rocky waters of high school, constantly searching for the lighthouse of opportunity. This is a vivid image, but it's also a bit much. There are too many metaphors, stormy seas, rocky waters, a lighthouse, and it takes away from the clear message. Here's a more balanced version. High school was challenging, but I stayed focused on my goal of excelling academically and finding opportunities for growth. This version is straightforward, clear, and still conveys the struggle and goal without overloading the reader with unnecessary metaphors. So remember, figures of speech can enhance your writing, but don't let them take over. Use them sparingly to keep your message clear and focused. Clichés are overused phrases that have lost their impact because they've been said too many times. While they might seem easy to use, they can make your writing feel lazy and unoriginal. Here's why it's important to avoid clichés. First of all, authenticity. Using clichés can make your writing sound generic and less personal. Instead of relying on phrases that anyone could use, showing your individuality will help you make your essay stand out. You want to be true to yourself and share your unique perspective. Secondly, impact. Clichés don't leave a strong impression because they've been heard over and over again. Original, fresh ideas, however, are what truly make your writing memorable. When you present your thoughts in a new way, it's more likely to stick with the reader. Now let's take a look at some of the most common clichés you might want to avoid. These are phrases that have been used so often they've lost their meaning and impact. Here are a few examples. I want to change the world. This is a big, broad statement that sounds inspiring, but it's so commonly used that it doesn't really tell the reader anything specific about you or how you plan to make a difference. I've always been passionate about X subject. While passion is important, this statement lacks substance. What does your passion actually drive you to do? What have you accomplished because of it? Focus on specific actions or experiences rather than just saying that you're passionate. Third, overcoming challenges has made me stronger. While it's true that challenges can lead to growth, this phrase is too vague. Instead of saying this, describe a specific challenge you faced and how it impacted you. Show the growth, not just tell about it. And fourth, I want to give back to my community. This sounds nice, but it's a broad goal. Be specific about how you want to give back. What do you want to contribute, and how will you do it? So, instead of relying on these cliches, aim to share concrete examples and personal insights that reveal who you are and what truly drives you. This will make your writing feel more authentic and impactful. When you're writing, it's crucial to place emphasis on the right points. Where you put the focus in your writing determines what stands out to your reader, and it's key to ensuring your message lands effectively. Here's why emphasis matters. First of all, it matters for clarity. Emphasizing the right ideas makes it easier for your reader to immediately understand your main point. It helps them know what's most important in your essay right from the start to the end. Impact. The key ideas are what leave a lasting impression. If you put them where they can't be missed, they'll resonate with your reader long after they finish reading. Now, let's go over some tips for placing emphasis. First is to identify the critical points. Before you start writing, know what the most important points are in your message. Focus on those. And second, put these critical points at the beginning or the end. The beginning and the end of a sentence or paragraph are prime real estate. That's where the most important information should go, either right at the start or as a powerful closing thought. Don't bury your key points in the middle. Here's an example of using emphasis effectively. I led a fundraiser to support underprivileged students. Despite initial resistance from the community, I persisted by building partnerships with local businesses. The campaign raised $10,000, enabling 20 students to receive school supplies and tuition support. Notice how the resolution and impact, the $10,000 raised and the 20 students helped, come at the end for maximum effect. Another good structure is goals, actions, and then results. My goal was to improve STEM education at my school. I collaborated with teachers to start a robotics club and secured funding for equipment. Within a year, participation in STEM-related activities increased by 50%. By placing the results at the end, the reader gets to see the impact of your efforts clearly. You can also try personal value to example to reflection/impact, or problem, and then the action and outcome. These structures work well for showing growth and impact, focusing on the problem you solved or the action you took, and the lasting result. The takeaway here is simple. If something's important, don't bury it in the middle. Place your key points at the start or end to ensure that they get attention that they deserve. Maxim 5 emphasizes the importance of crafting writing that is intentional and considerate of the reader's experience. It encourages writers to be deliberate in their word choice and polish their work for clarity and impact. Each part of your writing should be meaningful and serve a clear purpose. Good writing requires effort, attention to detail, and a focus on the reader. By being mindful of your word choice, avoiding overused phrases, and ensuring clarity and emphasis in your writing, you create a more engaging and effective experience for your reader. Now that we've come to the end of this session, I want you to take away a summary of these maxims that we've encountered. First of all, to write effectively, you have to focus on making every word count. Each one should serve a purpose. Use proper punctuation to ensure clarity and avoid confusion. Structure your writing so it's clear and impactful, guiding the reader through your ideas seamlessly. Write with purpose and grace, choosing your words carefully to convey your message with clarity and confidence. Finally, remember that good writing is deliberate and polished. always keeping the reader in mind to make sure your work is engaging and easy to understand. By applying these principles, your writing will be more purposeful, clear, and impactful. As you continue on your writing journey, remember that success comes through consistent effort. Just like any art, writing is built on practice. One day of hard work may not show immediate results, and even 10 bad days won't set you back. Every day you write, you are honing your craft. Stephen Pressfield reminds us that the most important thing in any creative endeavor is the work itself. It's about showing up, sitting down, and giving it your best every single day. Keep pushing forward, and know that your efforts will add up over time. It's not about perfection, but progress. So keep going and trust that the process will lead you to success. Thank you for tuning into today's mini lesson on effective writing. I hope this video inspires you to keep on writing and improving your craft.